Get started. Number one, discussion regarding Cooper National and Horton bids. Yeah, we can. We can do the flag salute. Yeah. All right, we'll start with the flag salute.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, item number one, discussion regarding Cooper National. Jason, give just a second for Pete. We good?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. As you are aware, we had our pre-bid meeting this afternoon for Cooper Avenue. We had two contractors present. One was Marbury Concrete, as well as a representative from Heck and Wicker. They're out of Parsons, Kansas, and they're actually doing a project we designed in Pittsburgh currently. So
Heck and Wicker?
Heck and Wicker. Yep.
Okay.
So what I think the main two key items came out of that meeting. The first easy one is for Cooper Avenue doing an addendum to allow a bid alternate for all concrete. So currently they're saying asphalt prices versus concrete prices are closer than they usually are. Usually it's like a 20% swing, but now it's way closer. So, and especially if timing wise, asphalt prices change more often than concrete. But so as of now, the price for concrete is very comparable to asphalt. So that's one thing we want to just verify if that's acceptable to the commission. And second, overall, for all the projects bidding, which includes Cooper Avenue as listed, National, and Horton, and I think the alley is also being bid. So now the problem we're late in the season for asphalt construction. So those that were at the meeting and the calls that I've taken the last 2 weeks, contractors are worried that they will have run out of time to pour asphalt. There's temperature requirements for the asphalt itself as well as the ground temperature. So if they have to haul the asphalt any distance, they're afraid they won't be able to get it here and be the right temperature, so then it won't lay properly. But overall, it's about temperature and time of the year. So as it gets colder, as you probably are aware, asphalt stops happening essentially. So the concern now, even if we get a bid the 12th and expedite all the steps, still the best the city can do to award the contract, high speed, 2 weeks after the bid, it's possible. But then the contractor still has to get their bonds all finished. And so I think they said the earliest they could start, if they could do it, is like September 1 would be pushing it. They were more like October, but as soon as you're in October, you start to get to where you can't do asphalt. So you have a couple options. You can still bid them all as they are. And what's going to happen, because we didn't give them a start date, so that's kind of open. But if we put an addendum out saying the start date will be 2022, whatever, basically in the spring is when they can start. Sometimes you can start in March, but they feel more comfortable with May. So we could put that in there and just take bids. Because the next problem is it's late enough in the season, 90% of the contractors are already booked. So
Which will cause them not to bid.
So if we, really the two options are put an addendum out to change the bid opening altogether and just move it to the beginning of the year, or put it in there, an addendum saying start date is no later than whatever day, March, April of 22. And I understand, I guess the key also, National Avenue is the big issue, is since it got milled, it's small enough that if they can squeeze it in, they can probably do that one. So I recommend keeping that on there, but there's still that chance that you'll get minimal bids, and it could be difficult to get a good bidder. But I think because of what it is, I think it's worth bidding still. But the others, I think just a decision on bid it now with a later start date, or just wait to bid it later, which is acceptable either way.
You're talking about Cooper now, right?
Yeah, Cooper and Gordon.
Cooper. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you had, there's an estimated, you estimated a cost for Cooper, right?
Yes, the commissioners should have seen the cost.
And so that was, I trying to be careful how I go here.
And well, I guess what you can say is,
Based on that, in our budgetary constraints, is there a problem with, what happens if you put it off until May 22? What at Cooper Street? What happens for the next 8 or 10 months? Do we just, I don't know, to keep it from being gravelly,
right, there'll be
dusty, so on. So
standard city maintenance will have to continue.
That's what I talked to the public works director today, and they've graded it a couple times, but I said we probably need to, until it's resolved, we probably need to treat it with at least once a week with the maintainer back and forth, and creating a decent gravel road, if nothing else. We need to haul some AB3 in on it from the, we got the county working with us on that. We need to haul some of their AB3 in because we're getting low on rock on it as it is. And I think that if nothing else, that's what we have to do through till 2022 on that street. But I agree with you. We need to move forward on National, because that's if we're gonna asphalt it. Pete, what's your thoughts on National?
Well, I think with National, and again, the way we are this late in the season, I would say the logical thing to do is try to make a deal with the county to overlay that.
We don't have time.
That's the, don't bid it, and we wouldn't have anything, no contract to get out of. But
Right.
I know that's
There is a
something-
question about, I think I talked to somebody about that, but so the county's asphalt mix design, from what we've seen, is
Rough
not
surface.
meant for a top surface.
Yeah, it's rough.
So what you'll get is, it'll be good for a couple of years, but then it'll turn bad fast because it's a base mix. So if you can get the county to look at their rock gradation and get some smaller rock and tweak that mix to actually get a top mix, that's great. But I don't know if you can do that.
well,
And they're the same way. They're booked and trying to keep up with their own stuff.
yeah. Well, it's I certainly wouldn't bid it and then have to wait till 2022 to get it laid. But
You're talking about bidding that one and doing it this year.
Yeah, we'd like to still, I think National's small enough that they can get it done. But the problem is still that it is small enough that a lot of the bigger asphalt suppliers don't even want to bother. with it.
Right. It's not worth bringing their equipment down all this way for, what is it, a couple blocks?
It's long blocks, but
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. So I guess maybe the first thing we need to do is immediately visit with the county and see if they could change their mix. I know they could probably put different rock in. And what you're talking about is they're using probably a 3/4 inch to an inch rough surface rock for a good base. We need to use probably 1/8 inch chips or 1/4 inch chips, somewhere in that neighborhood.
yeah, 1/4 inch is about the right number. Yeah.
Right.
So do we have that conversation, or do you have that conversation?
Well,
I have not.
yeah, and I do know that,
Or should you be the one that has the conversation with them about what you need or
I
consider
mean, I can
appropriate?
tell them what we need, but me having the, I guess, authority,
yeah, and I also will say that I've had conversations just in passing at lunch that they could possibly do it this year, but they said it'd be cutting it close and it'd be at the end of their season, and they can't guarantee it.
Right.
So they said they still had 13 miles left to lay, or and that they're So it'd be cutting it close, but they didn't want to promise that they could do it.
It seems like we're quite a bit of public outcry about that, so it sounds like maybe bidding it and getting it done. So even if we don't have everybody in the world
They
bidding
could,
it.
and if there's a contractor that is available, and we'll have to just struggle through getting the asphalt here. But if they want to do the work, they'll make it happen. So
Are we capable of looking at the stormwater issue prior to doing that in the process that you presented Tuesday?
right, for that, the stormwater issue on National, it's in the curbs, so the asphalt work isn't necessarily
affect that.
impacting
Okay.
it. It'd be nice to get it done at the same time, but I mean, we can try to get it in there, but for a bid next Thursday, no, probably not.
So and again, and this is just, so for Cooper, if we're gonna, is there a reason not to bid it right now? I mean, if we bid it and it's not acceptable or not what we want or not in the range, then do we have, can we not turn them down and bid it again next spring?
Absolutely.
Yes, you can definitely rebid.
So
And I
what's,
think what'll help is if you allow alternate of concrete, I think that's gonna help you on that particular project.
so there's really no harm in going ahead and bidding it.
So for that one, if we do an alternate,
What do you mean?
Oh.
Having their numbers public? Bidding it this year and then rebidding it next year and they'll know their numbers.
I see.
Is there a way to
That's
keep those numbers private?
It's a public opening.
once it's open, it's public.
You talked before about the price. Do you think that needs scaled back based on what you know of our budgets and everything in Fort Scott?
Say again.
You talked about Cooper Street before could be scaled back. One thing you said was this could come in way over budget that we couldn't afford, and there's things
Right.
you could do to change that. Is that true?
No, not since, from the beginning there was,
Yeah.
but now there's not. So the issue is a budget constraint anyway, I think, but
If we decide to go with concrete all the way, are we looking at the same thickness of concrete as we were asphalt? Wouldn't there?
no, the concrete will be thinner. It'll match the rest of the concrete on the project. And there's like a 2-inch difference,
Yeah.
I believe.
The concrete was 6 inches on
I think so.
on each end, and
It was either 8 and 10 or 6 and 8. But yeah, there's a 2-inch
yeah.
difference,
so
which
we-
is where the cost gets to be equal.
So
They perform as well as each other, strength-wise. But yeah, a thinner section of concrete will carry more traffic loads.
So you're telling me we're gonna bid it two ways. We're gonna bid it concrete, we're gonna bid it asphalt, and then we're gonna look at it.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have
As
a
an
problem with that.
alternate, yeah.
I mean, it'd be nice to get a comparable because if concrete's close, obviously, that's a better product. But it'd be interesting to see. So yeah, I'd say we probably go ahead and bid that out and see what kind of timeline they're looking at, and if we have to push because of weather for till 2022, that's fine with it. But I want to get on national as soon as possible, and I sent a message to see if they can make different.
Their top coat, they do change it out for their top coat.
They
So
can though,
that's what they do anyways, he just said. So,
So yeah, as long as they can,
and we still have.
but I would
With
still bid it
insurance.
out.
Absolutely, but
Yeah.
and if we had the labor, I think we still have a good laydown machine.
Yeah, I would bid it out and then plan on getting with the county if there's no bid coming in. I don't think we have the manpower to do it.
No, not at this point.
So what are you looking
What
from
do we
us
do with Horton?
today?
Tina needs a motion to amend the bid
yeah, so
to
one would
concrete
be
and
amend the
asphalt.
bid of Cooper to allow an alternate for concrete. And then really basically, if there's one that you don't want to bid, then we need to decide now, because the last one we haven't said much about is Horton Street. So it's similar, it's not a huge project, but it's fairly substantial because of the rock and the asphalt. But it's a similar issue with season.
And are
But
you,
again, you can take bids. And that one, I don't think you want to, unless you want to entertain concrete alternate.
No, I think we're good on asphalt on that one, but again, I hate to push anything, but if we're going to push one, at least that one's still solid for the year to get these other two put back into shape. See, I'll make that motion.
are you looking to extend the bid date though?
Yeah, that's the option.
on that one.
If you want to,
until.
so I guess for clarity, we definitely want to bid national, just because of the high profile and where it's at. So that's fine. Do a bid alternate for concrete on Cooper Street and still bid it on the 12th. But then Horton, do you still want to bid it on the 12th, or
So why are we keeping Cooper Street bid on the 12th?
because if concrete comes in okay,
They can do it?
then they can start
Okay,
that work.
perfect. So you need separate motions for Cooper and Horton Street?
If they're separate and we're not bidding Horton.
So, and Horton is the one that we had budgeted for last year to do, and it's the one that's, so are we still gonna bid it? Is that what I'm hearing? Or
Well, we're not, yeah, we'd have to wait till next year at this point with National and Cooper Street the way they are.
Amazing, okay.
Well, I do you not think that's a good way, Randy? Or I mean, I hate to go. I hate to tear up another street. We've got Cooper and gravel now, and with holes all over it and mud and everything else. We've got National Avenue that gets used just as much as Horton, that's now brick faced. And although Horton does have bumps and cracks and stuff like that, I think we can suffer through if that's the one we got to put back.
Well, I mean, we are at this point, so if we can't afford to do it, and if
Well, no,
it's-
that's not why we're pushing it back, Randy, for not budgetary constraints.
I mean, because of the timing constraints, they're
Right.
worried about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just, yeah, fine. It's a little frustration. I think we all feel the same frustration, so, okay.
Did you make a motion, Kevin? Or did
Yeah, I
cut you
did.
off?
I'll make a motion for the first one, whatever he said.
On Cooper Street
Cooper Street.
for an ultimate bid of concrete.
Go to bid concrete and asphalt.
Second.
Are you specifying the 12th for Cooper and National?
Yes,
And okay.
Just Cooper.
it's just Cooper right
This
now
is
for
just
asphalt and concrete.
Randy Nichols,
Yes,
Kevin Allen.
Yes.
Pete Allen,
Yes.
Lindsey Watts,
Yes.
Josh Jones.
Yes. And then you need one for Horton Street to extend the bid date, is that right?
Yeah, I'll make the motion to extend the bid date on Horton till 2022.
Second.
Randy Nichols,
yes,
Kevin Allen,
Yes.
Pete Allen,
No.
Lindsey Watts,
Yes.
Josh Jones.
And this is for Horton, and just while we're in discussion, Pete, may ask why? What's your thoughts on Horton Street?
Well, if we're gonna do Cooper Street, we ought to do Horton Street at the same time, same contractor, same asphalt. Yeah, you know, somebody would come into town and lay 200 ton cheaper than come into town and lay 100 ton twice.
Is there anything extra on Horton that needs done that would not allow them to bid both of them?
I mean, they're individual bids.
Right.
I think we talked about that, but yeah, so if a contractor comes in and sees both projects available, they would tend to think of it, like he said, I can do both projects
One mobilization.
So
and it's one.
can I ask why you were recommending pushing off Horton and not Cooper
Just
then?
as an option. I mean, you don't have to, but the concern with the contractors is they're gonna bid it, but they already know that they're not gonna start until in the spring, because that'll be a stipulation with the bid, that the start date can be as far out as spring. If someone can come in and say they can do it this fall, then that's great. So you do risk losing that option, but just from what we've been,
So what we need to extend is the start date, not the bid end date.
yeah, and that would work.
Yes, extend the start date to 2022. That way
And you do
they
it,
have
it's-
options.
Right, it's a no later than, so they
Right.
can start sooner,
Yes.
as long as they've got a notice to proceed. So we can expedite the city side, the paperwork, get them the award the contract, and do a notice to proceed pretty quickly, I think.
so really,
And they can be ready. If they can do it in the fall, then that's fine, but they're just, what we're hearing is that they don't think they can, but somebody might come in that can.
but then if I understand it, Pete, that's a great idea. So then it would be bid and Horton would be done early in the season next year.
They would have.
So you'd be kind of early on their list of projects.
So would you like to amend your motion?
Well, I can, but the reason I was saying put that one off is we have prep work to do too. Because originally we talked about the city coming in and digging it all up and preparing the base and putting the.
They don't have any people.
That is still the case. It was put out to be, they don't have to prepare the subgrade, but
That's-
they remove the
That's
material.
us doing it. And the reason I said extend that till next year is because, once again, Randy, if we go over there and dig this up, we're pretty good at getting started.
We are,
And you're going to have a gravel road leading to your house.
well, it's not to my house, but and
It's on the way.
my concern is that we don't bid it until next spring, and then it gets put off again until mid-season, and we kind of been promising the folks in town to do that. So if this technique works where you bid it now and do it in the spring, I'm not saying to do it inappropriately. God knows I don't want to tear anything up. I actually voted against tearing up National, so I think that we should coordinate it. I don't want to tear it out and then set all winter with it that way. That's not at all what I'm saying, and I would hope that no one directed us to do that.
Here's what I'm
But
saying.
I'm just trying to get my arms around it from what Jason's telling us. If we can bid it now and have it done timely fashion next spring, that makes sense to me, but whatever.
My only fear is if we have this contractor like you're talking about that comes in and wants both of them, and then they say, okay, go ahead and get the road tore up, and we're going to do National, and then we're going to come over and do Horton, and we go in and tear it up, and then the weather turns on us and it's gravel, then we're stuck with gravel for the rest of the winter. That's my concern, just like the people on Andrick or anything else. So that's why I put it off, and I guess I already made the motion. Did it get seconded?
Yes.
Okay, so we can cancel the vote, call it, and then we'll vote no. And
Well,
And we can
I
make
think
that
if we bid National, well, we're shutting off the possibility of the county doing the work.
No. I would disagree because
still do it.
if we get a bid in, we use it, and if we don't get a bid in, we use the county.
Yeah, because, and the problem, the bidders could come in and say, I just can't start until spring. And then you can reject the bids and,
Well, even if we got bids and then we used another government entity to help us, that's okay to say, hey, we appreciate your bid.
it's okay, it's not nice, but
Right.
it's okay.
It's not illegal.
It's,
Bob?
it would be cost effective to use the county, I'm sure.
Yeah, we've already bid on National, so we're on Horton right now. So
Yeah, so yeah, either way. Yeah, the big piece with Horton is coordination with city forces. And weather is a factor always anyway, so I'm good either way.
I mean, we can actually bid Horton with a caveat that it not start until next spring. Is that
Correct.
if we chose to?
So will you clarify your motion for me?
Kevin, would you like to amend the motion saying that we're going to bid them together for the option of bidding it together or separate? I'm trying to find some commonality
Yeah, they're
here.
still separate bids.
I just want to
They're
withdraw
still
my
separate.
motion. Let somebody else make a motion. I just want to withdraw it.
Okay.
I'm
just
done.
confused.
I'm done. I'm over it. Somebody else can make one.
Pete,
Well-
did you want to make a motion?
No.
No.
Wait.
Oh, was there a second?
You.
Oh, I didn't. Yeah, call the. Yeah, I withdraw my second.
Yeah, and if it's easier, I mean, so you did, the approval now is Cooper can have an alternate. And you can do each one, so you can say national, let's bid it, and that's a motion.
Yeah.
And keep
If
them
we
separate.
want to leave Cooper, we just made a motion on Cooper.
Yeah.
That's done. National, we don't have to make a motion on. We can go out
It just goes as it is.
as it is. Now
So-
we're on Horton.
Yep.
Um,
And you can say it's as is with the caveat of you can start in the spring.
So we can
Would
bid
be
it
the
out
only
now. The
change.
bid date's still due August 12th.
Yep.
So someone could come in and do it at the same time as Cooper, or they could come in the spring. So I will make that motion to go out to bid for Horton, with the caveat that they start no later than,
Right, and I'll give you guys a date, because we'll have to look at the dates.
Yeah.
But it'll be spring.
yeah,
Spring 2020.
spring
But that, what
2022.
we're doing is leaving them the option to
Bid now or
still
yeah,
build it this fall,
yes,
if they can do it.
right.
And it gives us the ability to take advantage of people who are already coming to bid. Well, actually, that.
Yeah,
So, okay.
Since they're all the same
Yeah.
time.
Second.
Randy Nichols,
Yes.
Kevin Allen,
Abstain.
Pete Allen,
Abstain.
Lindsey Watts,
Yes.
Josh Jones.
Yes. Thank you, Jason.
And we're
Thanks,
okay on
Jason.
the alley?
Thank you.
We're okay on the alley? Has it already been, are the bidding
It's
units
okay,
already
yeah.
been bid? I can't keep up with
It's
anything.
supposed to be the same day.
Item number 2, approve broker for Lake Lot Properties. Thank you, Jason. All right, this discussion we had yesterday. Does anyone that spoke yesterday, Jared or Stacy, want to speak? And then we have Lance and Bailey. Do you want to speak first? Or? Yeah, yeah.
Thank you. I'm Bailey Lyons with Lyons Realty Group. I'm the broker. I responded to the RFP for the lake lots and the commercial property, but I wanted to discuss the lake lots specifically. So my recommendation was to list them as opposed to auction them. From what I can find, properties here on auction tend to sell at a discount. We've had experiences in our brokerage this year where properties have been recently auctioned off and then we turned around and sold them for twice as much money as they auctioned for. I think that opens up your pool of buyers quite a bit more to be able to list versus an auction. With an auction, you either need somebody coming with cash or something from a lender that's as good as cash. And there are a lot of buyers that have to go through a standard loan process in order to be able to purchase. And an auction will eliminate some of those buyers. As far as the listing, I did put some stats in your packet, but I've got ones that we can pass around. Thanks. So what you're looking at is 2020 real estate data specific to Bourbon County. And it was pulled from the Heartland MLS the day before the RFPs were due, so 7/29. It goes from January 1st to 7/29. Lyons Realty Group did not get started until February, but we still ran the data for all of 2021, just to be fair. If you look at total transaction volume on the seller side, so numbers of houses sold, we, Lyons Realty Group, myself as the only agent, have sold 30% of the listings on the sales side, and we've sold 27% of the listings in Bourbon County on the buyer side. And if you look at total sales volume, which is about $30 million in Bourbon County so far this year, we are responsible for about 25% or $7.4 million of that total $30 million. And then on the lower right-hand side of what you're looking at, I broke the listing sold down by agent instead of brokerage. So the top left side tells you by brokerage. So again, we have 30%. The next closest brokerage is around 20, a little 19%. And then if you look by agent, I have 37 of the 23, and the next closest agent is 23, and then down to 13. So you can look at all of that information, but I just feel like we have a robust marketing strategy and do this full time, work really hard for our clients. And I think the numbers speak for themselves as far as our results that we produce on the listing side. Obviously, there's a lot of wonderful agents in Bourbon County. We enjoy cooperating with all of them. And when you list it, you're going to have clear cooperation. So anybody can bring a buyer. It was noted the other night that someone would possibly represent the buyer and represent the seller. I do want to note that that's illegal in Kansas to represent both sides. You can assist a side and represent one, but that was a misstatement and is actually not allowed in Kansas. But certainly someone could list and still assist a buyer, or another agent could bring a buyer, and we are happy to cooperate. So that would be my recommendation. You've got the numbers in front of you, and I am more than happy to answer any questions. Our commission that we proposed was 6%. 6% is what generally we charge for commission. We pay a lot of marketing out of that, and I feel like we earn that commission. And I think it's fair to our other clients that we have listed right now that we charge the same percent for this listing as we're charging other clients to sell their homes. There are certainly cases where that can be discounted, and that would be on a case-by-case basis that I discuss with a client. And so in that case, if the city was interested, I would certainly be happy to discuss if we have both sides of the transaction, if we're assisting both sides of the transaction, reducing that commission. Any questions?
I don't think I have any. You just said, you just mentioned that it was illegal to be the seller and the agent.
In Kansas, you can't represent a seller and represent a buyer.
I think
Oh,
a
seller
company-
You can
Yeah.
assist. You can assist. You can work with both sides and assist. But it was stated the other night that represent a buyer and represent a seller, and that's not allowed.
Yeah, so a
Yeah, that's
company-
No, you actually said if I bring the seller, but if you have the listing, you would already have the seller. So I think you meant if you bring the buyer. But it was quoted if I represent the buyer and the seller. So I just want to note that you can work with both sides and assist one side, but it is not legal to represent both sides. So if you list, my point in that is if you list with an agent, then that agent is going to be your seller's agent and represent you, the city, as the seller. So
Any other questions?
That's all I have.
thank
All
you
right,
for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lance?
All right. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Lance Anderson. I'm with Stewart Realty and Anderson Auction Service. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to bid this. First off, I bid it to auction it off. I do believe that is going to be the most profitable way to do it, profitable outcome. The sale of the 9 lake lots is holding a public auction. I would sell 4 of them this fall, and I would sell 5 of them next spring. That'd be my plan. I wouldn't flood the market with all 9 this year, just because I think that would hurt it a little bit, hurt your price. This public auction would be live auction with an online bidding platform. So we're going to stand on the ground. We're going to sell the property right there where we're at. We're also going to have online bidding. With that, an online bidder can place bids before the auction and during the auction. You know, just because you place a bid for just give you a number of 50,000 doesn't mean you're stuck there. You know, while we're selling it, it'll be live and you can bid as we go. Online bidders would have pre-bid on tracks, yes. During the auction, I would sell choice lot 1 through 4 for the first one, 1 through 5 for the second lot. So that creates your competitive bidders, you know, to where when you sell choice, you can take 1 lot, you can take 2 lots, you can take all the way up to 4 lots. It's going to be times the money on your lot, but that's the way I think you're going to get the most profit out of it. With that being said, we are going to cooperate with all brokers. It will be listed on the MLS service, just like we have a property auction coming up here in October where we're selling 700 acres, and you guys are more than welcome to bring a buyer to the table, and it's listed on the MLS service right now. Along with that, be listed on the MLS service, it's going to go on Zillow. It's going to go on Realtor. It's going to go on our website. It's going to go on a couple auction websites, kansasauctions.net, auctionzip.com, missouriauctions.net. With that, we also put all of our listings, especially recreational and land listings, are going to go on landsofamerica.com. Landwatch, we pay some money on that, and we can subscribe to that. Also, it'll be on Stewart Realty website and our website, Anderson Auction. It would also be on all of our Facebook pages.
Okay, so you're talking like an auctioneer.
Okay.
Landwatch and what else?
Landwatch, Lands of America. It's going to be on kansasauctions.net, AuctionZip, missouriauctions.net. It's on the bid that I gave you guys.
Right.
With that being said, you know, I obviously going to put it in the Fort Scott Tribune, going to put it in the Countryside Paper, going to put it in Big Nickel. That's an awesome free newspaper that goes out. It's not free to put an ad in, but it's free to pick up. Everybody picks up a free newspaper. And put it in the Kansas City Star. You're gonna get a lot out of that. I I would suggest an advertising budget. You know, this is going to be on top of it, of my bid, 5%. An advertising budget in between $750 to $1,000. You're going to get a lot of exposure with that money, and you gotta pay the money to let people know it's going to happen. You're going to have a sale. I mean, you don't want to just say, you know, we're going to auction it off and tomorrow's going to be the day. Nobody has their time to get stuff ready. With that being said, the real estate terms, it is going to be a cash sale. But what that means, a cash sale means, is it's not subject to post financial to secure, you know, to get your funds. You got to have your funds ready before you come to the auction to bid. And we're going to give them 30 some days. You know, we're going to start advertising. If we were to do this, we could put this ball in motion to have it Labor Day weekend if we wanted to. I mean, that quick. So.
Lance, a lot of times at auctions, also house auctions, whatever we've been to those, you got to have 10% down.
Yes, sir.
Is that's the way this is going to be?
Yeah, that's in the terms that I would suggest is 10% down, non-refundable. If you can't fulfill your duty as a buyer to.
We keep your 10%. We'll auction again in spring.
Exactly. So 10% down the day of the sale. Balance due in full on or before 45 days. The property is going to be sold as is. Cost of owner's title policy and closing costs are going to be split equally between buyer and seller. The way I would suggest it, there's 3 ways you can sell this, but the way that I would want to sell it is subject to final confirmation and acceptance of seller. So what that means is we auction it off, we hold the bid. At the end of when we reach a final number, you guys are going to be able to say, yes, we'll take it, or no, we won't. So instead of putting a reserve on it, you guys are going to be able to decide that day, you know, if you're going to take it or not.
I don't know how that would.
Well, how that works was,
You gonna let me be the guy?
no, I mean, it would be a contract negotiation, private.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Your meeting, Bob. Your mic.
You guys have no authority to do anything without a meeting. And you'd have to have a special meeting with everybody available to say, hey, yes, we're going to accept this, or no, we're not. And it'd just be a vote. You're all pretty good about this Zoom stuff. So you could have a Zoom meeting. It doesn't mean everybody's got to be standing on the site
Well, Bob, we
in
can.
100-degree weather.
There's also a couple other ways we could do it. We could address the public and let them know that we'll all 5 possibly be at that auction, and that way we'll be there and we could conduct business. Is that right?
That's what I said. It'd be a special meeting.
Right. Okay. And then the other thing is we could give. I mean, I'm not so sure that this is a whole new concept to me, because I was thinking we're just going to have a minimum on it. We could still have the minimum, right?
Yeah.
But you're just suggesting.
You put a minimum reserve, you're going to have to post it. You know, so say your reserve's just for a number 500,000 per lot. We're going to start off at 500,000 per.
Why do you have to post that? Is that just realty thing?
It's a reserve.
I would say they don't do that at regular auctions. I go to consignment auctions and there's reserve on a ton of those things, and nobody ever tells me what it is.
Well, I mean, that's fine, but I guess you wouldn't have to. I mean,
Well, once again, how do we relay what the reserve is to him?
exactly. And say you have a reserve on it.
How do we tell him?
We would.
Oh, I guess we'd have to tell him at a meeting.
Yes.
Oops, trying some secret stuff.
Say you have a reserve on it and it's 500,000, and we get 499,000. I have to decline the bid. We can't take that. We're really close to it, but your bid's 500,000. That's why subject to seller's final confirmation works. You know, you might change your mind at the heat of the moment.
Right. Thanks for the curveball on that. I wasn't ready for that. So there's no way to say through city staff or anything, we have this much reserve.
Well, you could always vote to give a person authority to do that, and that person would have to be brave enough to do or not do, and you all have to be nice to them when they said yes and you thought they should have said no.
Well, we'll discuss that when we figure it all out. I think we're putting the cart in front of the horse right now. So
Yeah.
that's
Like I said earlier, I mean, you get all your buyers there at one time. You know, whether it be in person or online, all your buyers are going to be there. We need to create the competitive bidding atmosphere for this thing to really work. And advertising it, selling it to the highest bidder at public auction is the way to do that. In my mind, but and I'll even do this for you. You know, I spoke with a few of you earlier, but if you put a reasonable reserve on it, and we advertise it for you, and we do not fulfill our duty to get you to that reserve, I'll eat the advertising. You're out nothing, except for your time. You know, you don't have to pay me for anything. So, something to think about.
So you're saying, okay, so say it again. If we pay for the advertising,
No.
The advertising is only being charged of the property sales.
Yes. Same way with a commission. You know.
so you'll eat
5%
the
is
advertising
zero.
if it don't sell. Okay.
Anything else?
Any questions?
All right. Thanks.
All right, thanks, Lance.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Lance.
Stacy or Jared, do you guys want to speak today?
Bailey, I don't know if I said thank you to you when you left. I was busy doing other stuff, so thanks.
I think any of us will eat the advertising if it doesn't sell, because we don't get paid unless we sell the property for an amount that you guys accept. And in this market, we are seeing a lot of multiple offer situations from listings too. So there are ways to drive up the price in a competitive market such as this, aside from what I'm doing too.
I'm Stacy Wood with Stutzman Action Realty. I wanted to talk again about the commercial building. I've pulled up some more numbers today on that. In Fort Scott, in the last 365 days, I just pulled this information today, there have been 12 commercial buildings that have sold that have been on the MLS. I'm sure there's been buildings that were not listed, but the buildings that were actually listed, there have been 12. 11 of those ranged from $18,500 to $99,000. There was only one building that sold over $100,000, and it sold for $325,000.
Here in Fort Scott?
Yes. That building sold for 61% of its list price. So I feel that if you guys want your top dollar, we have to market outside of Fort Scott. We have to market a long ways and bring in buyers that have more money than what people in Fort Scott are willing to spend. That's all. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. It's a real estate fight tonight.
Howdy.
Man.
And I'm not speaking out of turn today or jumping the gun, so I feel really good.
Are you parked illegally?
Yeah, nobody's parked illegally. I'm on private property, so it's perfect for me. Anyway, when we were here on Tuesday night, a lot of the other people in the room had already left before we had an opportunity to brag about Front Door Real Estate. So I just want to touch base on that. In your packets, we've sold over $2 million in lake properties since 2019, representing 59% of the buyers and the sellers at the lake, with an average listing days on market of 125 days. With that being said, we are just really excited about the lake. We have 3 agents that will be representing the city through the brokerage firm of Front Door Real Estate. And of those 3, all 3 have ties to the lake. They all have access to pontoon boats that are currently on the water at the lake. And if you read the recommendations that we included in our packet, we have buyers and sellers that have both talked about how that was an excellent advantage to selling the lake properties that we've sold in the past. And I think that us being able to offer that to potential buyers is a great advantage. Our marketing and advertising is all on us, whether we sell the property or not. I did not lay out our marketing strategy. To me, that is private information for our office. We don't want other people to know how we've sold so many lake properties and commercial when you get to the commercial side. So to me, that is, like I said last week, with a letter of intent drawn up by Bob Farmer, city attorney, we would love to discuss and lay out exactly where and how that marketing would be completed. So anyway, we enjoy working with everybody here. So we would be more than happy and excited to have the bid for these proposals. And we're all here for questions if you have any.
Thank you, Jared. Thank you, Stacy.
All right. Discussion?
Are we doing just like properties first?
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
the other
like
one?
properties first.
Okay, well, if nobody else will jump in, I'll jump in and start whatever you want to say or do. First off, again, this is the decision I absolutely hate. I will tell you that again. I like all of you, every one of you. We know however we wind up, I feel confident we're going to wind up with a competent people or organization to do this. So I hope you all will take that to heart. As I look at it, and I know there's going to be conflict here, I prefer the market strategy. I think that that's more comfortable in my way of thinking. Sorry, Lance, but my concern is that there are folks out there like me who don't understand the auction strategy well. I think everybody understands the market strategy, so that I don't know for sure, but it seems like we would limit our exposure to our audience, to who we're trying to achieve. And beyond that, then if we're got to get specific, I've looked and relooked at these, and I guess based on what I saw in terms of accomplishments in terms of selling at the lake, that Front Door looks to me like they have that's sort of their niche. When I do the comparisons within the packet, and also their bid was, as Pete pointed out the other night, their bid was the 5% lowest bid that we had. So get the conversation started. That's where I would fall.
Does anyone else have any other discussion?
Crickets? Huh? Okay.
Go ahead.
Cool. I think that, like I said, like Randy said, I think that we have a lot of really good options. And looking through the bid packets, I feel like each company has their own unique way of looking at it. I think that based off if you're just solely looking at a niche and things that people are good at, Front Door Real Estate has a lot of history there, transaction history to show there, as well as Lions Realty has showing in the numbers and the amount of sales just over the last year. It's kind of speaks for itself. So I think we have a lot of good options. I'm not sure exactly where I'm falling other than with our current market, and I think in advertising strategies, I feel like I would lean more towards selling in the real estate market as opposed to auction, just because of, I guess, knowledge and understanding, but also looking at the numbers and being able to look at like history. As Bailey kind of pointed out, there's a little bit of history in Fort Scott right now of properties that are auctioned, and we're seeing a larger return. So if we're looking at a larger return for this lake fund or park fund, or however the commission chooses to spend it after we put money towards the lake, it looks like that would be the most bang for your buck.
And I'll reiterate, yesterday I shouldn't vote on this having contracts with all four of them really. But I will just say if the commission decides to go with the real estate market, if you guys would look at possibly splitting them up and giving some to each of them.
So I've had that conversation with myself and a lot today. And I did speak with a few people about it. And I mean, is that, I guess, would be a question for me to the realtors, if they feel like that would be a benefit or a negative to be able to split those properties up. And I feel like that kind of lies in five of those properties are on the bluff, as opposed to 4 of those properties being more lakefront. Does that make sense to split those up? Because that was kind of my thoughts earlier today, and I don't necessarily know if that would be the best option at this point.
And that's the interesting part about Lance's proposal. And just to give everybody a little bit of history where we started, because I don't know, Bailey, if you guys know where this whole thing started, but a year ago, it started off as we're going to sell the whole east side of the lake, and we're going to take sealed bids, silent bids, and put them in an envelope, and you're going to get the east side of the lake. So now we bumped that, we got that stopped, and we got it now to where it was going to be an auction. And then the signs went up, and Lance was the winning bidder on that. He put the signs up, and then we got the whole thing halted because enough awareness was raised that the residents of Lake Fort Scott didn't think it was a good idea to sell one whole side of the lake. So this is what's brought us here. I am, I've seen it go both ways, but I've seen it more lean towards the good side of the auction because, and I'm not trying to, again, I'll reiterate, that doesn't happen very often, what Dr. Nichols said, that I like every one of you guys, and this is probably the hardest decision oddly enough, one of the hardest decisions we got, because we got our friends all sitting out here, and it's tough to pick, the first player for the kickball team. So, but as I've sat there and watched auctions, I've watched people get out of control and spend money that they probably wouldn't have had they not been in the heat of the battle. I've seen, all these auction sites like Purple Wave, Big Iron, Auction Time, things always bring good money. So, I mean, I'm sitting here wondering if we don't do that, and then, my thought was we hold the auction first as a trial. We meet there as a commission. We tell the people we're going to be there. We make a decision that day. Say, hey, they didn't bring worth the crap, or they didn't bring very much money. And so then we tell Lance, no sale, and we walk away, and then we give each one of them a property at that point in time. They bring huge money. We take our money, put it in a sack, and go home. So that's an option too, because he's offering us. They're all offering free advertising, but
does that work the other way around too? If we market them, say, give the realtors 6 months, see what happens, and if they don't sell adequately at whatever parameters we set, then go to auction.
I don't know. That was my plan. Is that your plan?
Well, I'm asking. I just reversed your plan to ask if it'll work the other way around.
Yeah, and I'll just interject. Usually auctions are a shorter time frame than real estate markets. So if you were going to do that, it would make sense to do the auction first in real estate, because if it doesn't sell at the real estate, doesn't sell at the auction, then what do you do? So I'm just my 2 cents. So.
Yeah, I don't understand how that impacts it, but that's just my lack of understanding. So,
agree.
Pete, you got anything? No. You the only one didn't speak. Just along for the ride.
So entertain a motion if we're done.
I guess another argument that I would have is if we're not splitting up the properties, then what would that property sale look like? If we have a realtor that's advocating for us outside of the city, then we're also looking at possibly bringing in someone that is capable of developing the property the way that, in a better way for our community that would bring in more homes or more.
With a realtor doing it?
Yeah.
One option is to pick the realtor and let them give us directions about
absolutely.
the way they think they can maximize the.
Right, and that's where I guess that comes into play. Absolutely.
Well, we got to move forward. So, are there more discussion? Josh, you should ask. If not, I'm going to go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's what. Is there any more discussion? Or is there a motion?
Well, I'll move that we accept a bid from Front Door Realty and move forward based on their recommendations about what properties to sell and how to divide them up.
Second.
Kevin Allen,
No.
Pete Allen,
Pass.
Randy Nichols,
Yes.
Lindsay Watts,
Yes.
and Josh is not.
Abstain. So then it'd come
And
back
then
to
come
Pete.
back to Pete.
Yep.
What was Josh?
I have to abstain.
He's abstaining.
I say no.
All right, so motion dies as a tie. Is that correct, Bob?
That's correct.
So we have another motion?
I would like to make a motion. I would like to word it like I just described, that it goes to auction, and we I don't know how you say that. It goes to auction, we meet at the auction, we make a decision that day, and then if we do not reach the sale price that we feel like we should be at, we bring it back, and then we divide it between. That may be too long of a motion.
I think it may be too long of a process. As it would be my argument or be my worry. We're talking about
I don't
bringing
know.
these
This is my
properties.
motion, so my process.
I
But I'm just saying.
understand.
I know, but
We've talked
we'll
about
discuss that
bringing
after
that
I get
money
my
in.
motion out.
Okay.
I got to think for a second.
Go ahead.
My motion is we go to auction. If it doesn't sell, we bring it back and we put it in the hands of the real estate agents.
You're talking about today. If you want to make a motion to take it out to auction, if it doesn't sell on whatever day Labor Day says, it automatically reverts to the real estate people if they're interested today to do that.
Yes.
Just trying to clarify.
I said that in a roundabout way, but I don't know. Okay, that's my motion.
So what he's saying is he's making a motion to go to auction. So the day of the auction, there'll be a high bid. Lance will say, will you guys accept this bid? If the answer is no, the lake property will be listed at market, divided up between the realtors.
Divided up, not come back to you guys for a decision on
Correct.
which realtor.
Well, no, that's gonna be confusing. So now that I did that, that's
It's not. Don't let her confuse you. We have realtors here. If they are up for that, after this motion is made and accepted, come to you guys. Are you guys interested in taking a property if it does not sell at real estate? If they say yes, then they get one. If they say no, then they don't.
And we'll set the standard.
That is part of his motion he's making. Yeah.
4 properties.
Yeah.
I'm sticking. I've been saying that. Yeah. Yes. That's the Lake Advisory Board's recommendations. Everything else we're selling. Put that in your lengthy motion here. There's going to be 4 sold. We're not selling 9. We're going to sell 4 like we've been talking about since the very beginning. And we're going to auction them. If they don't sell, they come back. We've got 4 real estate agents sitting here. Am I correct?
Yes.
3 brokers.
3
Yes.
brokers. And are you? So, okay, there'll be 4 real estate people.
Oh, yes.
And it'll all go right back and it'll all be split between the 4 of you. And I'll say we'll go, what percentage? Because you're going to have a percentage because they've got different percentages. We got 5 and so we'll go 5%. They'll all meet at 5%, if agreed. That's my motion.
Will you repeat that?
No. Sounds like I did it all for nothing anyway.
So looking for a second.
I'll second.
So my question would be, these 3 of them sell, 2 of them sell. I mean, we're just putting it completely up
sell
to the
good.
realtor, and then if nobody wants to take that, if they don't sell, if nobody picks that back up, then the city has 1 lot as opposed to having the option of having 2 lots to sell. That would maybe bring more money at those 2 sitting next to each other. Does that make sense? I guess I.
May I say something? Sorry, I don't know if that's allowed.
Yeah, you might go up to the mic with, or sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
All right, another option that will give you somewhat the best of both
Your
worlds.
mic's not turned on up.
Or
not-
bring it
She
closer.
can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
No. You got to yell.
Jimmy.
Here.
Now try it. Try it now.
How about now?
Yeah.
Oh, yep, that works. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Another option is to list them and set a date that you're going to review all offers. And then in that instance, you're probably going to drive multiple offers with a best, where you can call for a best and final, which is also a blind, which makes them put out their very best offer. So that's another option that gives you, if you market them right and get the word out from the beginning, then you're going to have some buzz when these hit the market. And then by doing that, you can set a date to review. That way you don't get an offer in with a 24-hour expiration date and you're forced to say yes or no when you haven't had a chance to review as many offers as you would like. So that's another option that would give you the time to call a special meeting before you accepted an offer, you still get to ask for best and finals when you drive multiple offers in. So in my mind, some might disagree, but in my mind, that gives you a little bit of the best of both worlds. So just a thought. Thank you.
Oh, it works. This one works. Jared, do you have something?
Okay, everybody only gets 2 times a piece. No, I'm just kidding.
Another item that we discussed in our proposal is if you're selling all of them, then you have the opportunity to market it to a developer who could buy all the properties at one time, making it to where the city is not responsible for getting the sewer, the electric, the water all out there. That would be on the contractor side of things.
But we're not going to be responsible for that anyway.
Yeah, I know. So it would make it really easy if you're selling 4 and that contractor is now not interested because he can't develop the whole thing as a whole. So we have had contractors reach out to us, developers from Kansas City. We also have individuals that are interested in buying, and I know other people have already had interest in those properties. So there is interest in the properties. There's no doubt in anybody's mind. I would think that if you're selling them, you should sell all of them at the same time.
Well, and that's why, and again, that makes sense to me with the auction, because you're selling them all at the same time. And if we got all these interested parties, they're not going to miss that auction. When I know there's a dozer somewhere that I want.
I think what he's saying is you're limited to 4, not 9.
Yeah.
So you're only selling 4 at the auction and not 9.
Oh.
He doesn't want to just buy 4.
He wants all 9. Okay, no, yeah.
So you're saying, yeah. Do you, I mean, the other realtors agree you limit developers from even purchasing probably with 4 and not 9? Yeah.
When the 4 are listed with a realtor, they can come to you and say, hey, I have a developer that wants to buy all 9.
This is why I'm
And
not
they
in real
won't have a
estate.
special meeting.
Get yelled at again.
And right now, we still have Kevin's motion on the table.
Is there any other discussion on that? It was seconded by Pete. No other discussion. Go ahead and call the.
Lindsay Watts,
No.
Kevin Allen,
Yes.
Pete Allen,
Yes.
Randy Nichols,
No.
and Josh.
Abstain.
Feel like it's a year ago.
I
It's
just
like
feel
old
like,
times.
given the information that we have and the proposal set out in front of us, I feel like if the goal is to do what's best for the city to be able to gain as much traction with these properties, I feel like, you know, I very much understand your stance, and it's not that I don't agree with it. I just think that this is the better option for the city as a whole, and I think that it would be best suited to choose one of the 3 or 4 realtors and list it to get those competitive bids, of those people that are already looking at these properties, and to see what that interest is as a whole.
The only hang up I have is hearing that from, you know, when I know that you two were ready to sell, prices in an envelope, and going down the road.
Right. I was going off of the information at that point in time that we had from staff that was being brought to us per the property that was looking at being sold, which is completely different. In my mind, I would assume that the property that is not lakefront is going to sell a lot differently than a property that is on lakefront. Is that in a completely different market? So that is where I'm coming from. I'm not looking at them as the exact same situation, because I think if we go back to the property that is not lakefront, auction may actually look a lot better and more feasible for that property, or sealed bid. For this property, at these 9 properties, or these 4 properties, or 5 properties, whichever one are listed and sold, I feel like I said, at this point, I feel like looking at the realtors to sell the property is just a better option overall. Like, I'm just gonna repeat myself over and over again.
I mean,
if I keep talking,
I
Yeah,
agree.
I mean,
It
we
seems
can be
like
here all night. We're at
Right.
an impasse. Lance, are you a realtor also?
yes.
Okay. So a recommendation, we have 4 people. Can we give each of them 2 lots at the 5%, advertising included, no auction, and that way, I don't know, Lance, how you feel about that. I'm just trying to find a solution here.
And just out of fairness, so the lots are all going to have different value. So you just put them in a hat and draw them out? How would we decide? I'm not against this idea. I'm just trying to get them.
They could draw numbers.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's-
anything.
that's-
I just,
I think that we need to ask everybody if that's an option that they would be interested in, you know.
yes,
to-
yes. And I'm just trying to do, because I feel like we're not going to get past this on the off.
Right.
Is Stacy, Jared, Bailey, Lance, is that something?
Yes, please.
So at the meeting, you guys were talking about selling just the 4 lots at first. You've got 4 realtors. Why don't you do the 4 lots, see how they go, and then you've got a lot more data in your pocket.
That's what,
And
if I'm
they
going to do
decide what to do
anything,
with the
that's when I
5.
like it. But again, now you're talking 4 lots. And Matt, that may be how we do it. If you guys agree to that, we put numbers in a hat and you pull one out. You're going to sell lot 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that way everybody goes home happy tonight. We sell it for 1%, and then you guys go up there and prove yourself to us and maybe make our decision different on the rest. Because there's going to be a lot of lake lots around there that could be sold. A lot. This is going to go on for a while. So then maybe that is a good option. I don't know. You guys want to go outside and talk?
Do you want to have a special meeting? Or?
You all are hidden back there. I can't see everybody's feeling about this.
I just like the air conditioning, Matt. I'm like my dog.
So, I mean, does anybody have any input against or for that? Because we would look, if we did that, we would be looking at 4 properties. It would be 4 different realtors. If one didn't feel comfortable with that and didn't want to do that, then we would have 3 realtors and 4 properties. You know, so that would change the way that the motion would look or how we would draw.
Hey, I got something. I'm just going to reread your guys' bid that you put out. You are invited to provide and request for proposal for services to administer and recommend the most profitable solution for the sale of 9 lake lots in Fort Scott. In addition, assist the governing body in documenting the covenants of the land for future development. Brokers commission and percentage and strategy should be included in all proposals. I understand listing them conventionally. If you're looking for the most profitable way, bringing multiple buyers together the day of the auction, that's the way you're going to get the most profit out. My thoughts, only, I guess.
I bet we can have a debate about that.
Well, you can have a debate, Randy.
Well, that's the other real.
I think you are having a
Sure.
debate.
That's exactly what we're doing.
Yeah.
Strong on the auction is because I've been to a bunch of auctions, and I've seen the difference between auctions and buying real estate when I could talk back and forth, and I've seen the heat of the battle. Have you been to a bunch of auctions?
No, and that's my point. I think that it excludes people like me who don't particularly feel comfortable with it or want to. Oh, hi, Pete.
You haven't even been to the lake though, so you're going to be excluded.
I don't know.
Anyways.
Pete, okay, Sketch. I don't know why you keep bringing it up. I've been to Lake multiple times. I've looked at the areas that we've talked about, and so let's put that to rest. Pete, what I was saying was, I don't know, that there's an ongoing discussion about the most profitable way to sell the things. That's what Lance brought up.
Can I say something again?
Yep.
I don't know if the other realtors in the room had a similar. Sorry, Pete. I don't know if the other realtors in the room had a similar experience, but I will say. There was a property that just auctioned. They have not marked it sold yet, so we're not sure what it actually went for. But the ranch on Heilman, and I took multiple calls from buyers who were pre-approved for a higher amount than what I heard that it went for, that could not do an auction. They were pre-approved. I had a pre-approval letter. We reached out to the agent who was auctioning. Their bank was not willing to allow them to go at auction and make that bid without going through a standard loan process with the approval. I don't know if you guys had similar situations, but we had buyers. Had that property have been listed, I think it would have gone higher. That's my opinion only, but I know that I had 3 buyers that were willing to pay a sizable amount for that property, but they could not participate in an auction type of format. They were pre-approved though.
So one of my questions is, how do we, if that be the case, are we going to set a price for these realtors to
that's my next question is if
What I would hope to see, and I think they're going to agree, is that we set a list price and we drive interest and we do our job to market the property. We spend the money, we do our job to market the property, and you have just as much buzz with that as you do marketing an auction date. And then you have people that submit their offers. You can weed out the ones that are too low, any that are of interest to you. You can handle that a number of different ways. You can call a counter and the ball's in your court, or you can ask for a best and final, and it's just like doing a blind bid at that point where they have to put their very best option forward. And even then, you're not forced to take something. That puts all of that in your hands as to what you can take. I don't know if you guys agree.
Yeah.
But I do think you eliminate buyers from an auction perspective. Yeah, and there is an escalatory amendment. Now, you're not required to, you as a seller, you're not required to take the highest offer. Obviously, it's probably in your best interest unless there are other factors in the offer that would negate that. But a buyer can put in an offer with an escalatory amendment that says, my offer is $100,000, but I'll pay $1,000 more than the highest offer up to $120,000. So you have options in that case, but I think that personally, I think you rule out buyers in a case like this when you auction, and that's nothing. Lance does a fabulous job. He's good at what he does. You asked for our professional opinion on what we think is the most profitable, and my professional opinion is that you open your buyer pool to the most people by listing it on the market. If you've got cash buyers that can go bid at auction, they can put in a cash offer also. So you're not ruling anyone out by a standard listing. You are ruling out buyers by an auction potentially.
So each agent's going to bring.
And I don't have to stand up here and talk for everybody.
So each agent. So when you get an offer for $120,000, that's going to come to the commission meeting, and then we're going to have
I can't speak for anybody else, but what I would do is say that I would put, when you list on the MLS, there's public notes and then there's private notes that just the agents can see, and I would put whatever time frame you all feel comfortable with, so that we're going to review offers after 10 days on the market, and then we're going to respond to those offers within 72 hours. Or that doesn't have to be the exact timeline, but that's an option that allows for you all to get together in a meeting and not have to be standing out there at the auction doing what we're doing right now.
Same thing. Even if not, you can say, hey, can you call a special meeting in 2 days? I have an offer on the table.
Right.
I mean, it's
yeah.
And again, and I'm not trying to keep going back to the auction, but that sounds like a slow auction. You know what I'm saying? Because you're going to take offers.
Maybe, but you're not excluding any buyers.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though. But that is in a form, in my mind, I'm seeing that as an auction. We're going to get all.
Which is why I'm saying, in my opinion, that's the best of both worlds.
Yeah, I think we're at a point here where I don't think two of you are going to think auction is best and two of you aren't. Lance, auctioneer is going to say theirs is best, and of course Bailey and them are going to say theirs is best. That's just the pitch.
Right.
So we are at a 2-2 here. So if Lindsay and Randy don't see the auction being the best, and Pete and Kevin don't see the other thing best, we got to either come to a compromise or not sell them.
So if we were to put 4 properties out to 4 different, what Josh was suggesting, 4 different realtors, and say, Lance, would you still want to do the auction in that scenario? What would the stipulations be, I guess, for the low bid, and how would that play into? Because that was something that was brought up, I think, Tuesday, was if the auction happens first and the auction goes for a lot lower, then that's not going to be beneficial to the asking prices of the other property. So that's, I think, would be the question that I would have.
Because Lance is going to auction his property?
No, I'm just asking. I didn't know. So does that make sense what I'm saying?
If you split them up to 4 different deals, I'm not going to put forth an effort to build an auction and advertise
right.
For one property. It would work, but it's I'm not going to.
Okay. Would you still want to be involved as a realtor selling it in a traditional sense? Okay.
I would have a similar problem with advertising it all when I know that there's 3 other agents that have a lot right next door. It makes more sense to give it to one organization and let them market it and spend the money.
I honestly agree with that. You're wasting money. Like, if you're going to ask all of us to put in advertising
So what? So what if we were only going to sell one though? I mean, that's my question. If we only had one lot that we were going to sell, and
merit on who you want to list with, but I think it's not intramurals where you're just gonna say, you have one, you have one, you have one, and then expect all of us to put our money on the table up front. I mean, that just seems like a waste of money to me.
I agree, but I agree, but you can make money on all four if you're not the listing agent on all four. So your money will still go as a buying agent. So your money will not be wasted on one property. Your money will actually be.
If you're marketing it and advertising it, and before your client gets down here, another agent sells another agent's listing. So now I've already spent all this money, and it doesn't.
but you can't sell it without our approval.
The other thing that I can think of in that scenario is what happens then if one agent's buyer asks them about, well, can I buy all 9? So then you end up in a situation where like a couple of them aren't listed, you've got them with 4 different agents. Most likely you're gonna have people wanting to buy multiple lots. I mean, I think that's highly likely. I don't know if you guys agree, but
Sorry,
Pete still
Bailey.
can't hear you. I'm sorry.
I don't know.
Well, we need it word for word. You ought to be an
Oh,
auctioneer
multiple
too. You
listings.
talk so fast.
I just said, I mean, I kind of agree with what they're saying. I think that splitting them up is going to put us back in this room hashing out a lot of different scenarios, because if people know that there's multiple lots and maybe some of them are listed now and some of them are coming later, then what happens when you have a buyer, whether that be an individual or a developer, that says, well, I want all 9. And then I can just picture it now. You've got 4 listed with 4 different brokerages. You've got, 5 that aren't listed. Just, I mean, I guess you guys need to think about that as a city commission, is what happens if somebody approaches, because they will, on the lots that aren't listed yet.
We got more than
I know that I already.
we got more than 5. We're going to have lots all down through there. So I hope we're not focusing on the 5 we're not selling right now, because we just talked about selling the 4.
Well, the numbers don't matter. I'm just posing what happens when you have somebody want to buy more because they know that there's more. Are you at that point going to say, we're not selling those right now? And then you don't know who's going to list those later. I don't know.
Well, that's what I'm saying though, Bailey, is I guess my thought is we own all the way around that side of the lake. And no, we're not going to sell that whole side of the lake right now. The lake committee, Nancy's left by now, but that's what the lake committee decided. We formed a lake committee for this reason, because we didn't want to come in here and just have it on our shoulders. So we formed a lake committee. They formed a subcommittee. We've got committees upon committees. And they said you need to sell 4 to start with to get a general consensus of what the market's going to do on these lots. And then possibly that'll make people more hungry down the line. When are they ever going to sell more? And then we can split them up. So
theoretically, what happens if you have somebody that comes in and says, I'll give you this much for 9, but you've got 4 out there right now and 5 that aren't, then how does that work?
there's people that are offering money all the time.
Whoever brings that buyer that lists the 9, you can city commission, and at that point you can save the city money and do a 3% commission because they're not listed, and sell all 5.
I think she was referring if they were listed with 4 different agents, because we just had this experience between our office where we were selling 2 properties, but the buyer didn't want to pay 2 transaction fees at the title company. So we put 2 properties together as one transaction to save the buyer money. So the same thing's going to happen, and then we're going to have representation and cooperation between the 4 listing agents and then the 5 that are not listed. And
It could get messy really quick.
it's just in my professional opinion, they should be listed with one organization, and they should all be listed at the same time to get the most bang for the buck for the city. And I promise I won't come up here again.
That's what you said last time.
I know.
So yeah. But again, I want to make sure everybody knows I don't want to concentrate on the other 5 properties, because we're not talking about that. We're only talking about 4 properties right now, right?
Well, I don't know. The bid was for 9, but if you want to change it to 4, then yeah, that's fine.
That's what the lake committee
Well,
put
I understand what they
terms.
recommended.
It's a recommendation. But I, as a liaison, or whatever the fancy word is, sat in those meetings, and I know they went through a lot of struggle back and forth and conversation. And when we get, it's that way with committees on here. We don't necessarily have to do what they say, but when the planning commission comes before us and says we recommend you do this, I don't know, very seldom. Of course, we haven't seen the planning commission for a long time, but we usually go with their recommendation.
So is there a motion?
I'm lost.
Bob, would it be a conflict of interest for me if I recommended all 4 of them?
Yeah, you really can't.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
So he can't break a tie.
No,
With the-
no, he's got a conflict. He's already, to
Already
his
declared
credit,
it.
he declared that.
Here's what I think. If we're going to do this and we're going to get down the road, even though, and I'll be the bigger guy, whatever, to say that I would prefer auction, but being that's probably not going to go anywhere, even though that would be a lot better than silent bid. I'll mention it again. I will say that I will make the motion that we sell the 4 lake properties and we put it out to each individual. I know you guys don't like that, but I feel like that's the fair way, and that's my motion.
Well,
What-
I think that, discuss on that.
Go ahead.
You're going to
Let me
have,
finish the
you're going to
motion.
have 4 companies advertising, one lot. She's going to advertise her lot, and Lance is going to advertise his, and Front Door's going to advertise those. We got 4 times the money in advertising. These guys are going to put out a lot of work. But if that's what they want to do, then I would accept that.
I will say conventionally, that's what you guys do anyways. You sell usually 1 property at a time, not a bundle, right?
So I want to comment on them on saying not to do it this way. So to me, it's how bad the realtor wants to do it for you. Like Jared
what I'm
bringing
saying.
up that combined property. I was the other agent on that combined property. Yes, it was a little bit more work for me to make an addendum to combine those properties, but I wanted what was best for my seller, so I did it.
And I will say I was the seller.
Yes,
And it worked out
so
fine.
It just
so.
matters how much those realtors want to work for you. Anything's possible. Just, I mean, if we have a contractor come in that wants all 9, whoever that realtor is that has that contractor, they can come to you and make that discussion.
Yeah.
Have that discussion at that
Yeah,
time.
I just want all you know. I mean, obviously you can see we're at an impasse, and so
Right.
we got to negotiate whether for us just to get something moving forward. So
Yeah, that's why I made the motion, because I think it'd bring better money, auction it off, everybody standing there, it's live, it's doing all kinds of stuff. But I made that motion because I kind of feel like it keeps peace in the family. And if you don't, if you say, you know what, I don't want it that way, and I don't want to be a part of it because it's just one dinky lot, then you don't have to accept it.
the only thing I
I
recommend
don't
is your
have it- I don't have a dog in this fight, and I respect your comments that we have recommendations from a committee. You've got experts here that are giving their various views. What if you said we're going to divide up the 9 lots and give it to 4 agents and figure out what to do with the odd lot? I'm just offering it as a suggestion.
I'm
does
not gonna be for that.
every realtor here think the more lots is better? Lanstud and Bailey, you don't think so, Jared?
Okay, so much for that.
That's why you're not a city commissioner, Bob. You're the
Okay,
attorney.
so just to get out, so that is a mixed.
I'm
Okay.
afraid, Josh, that we're going to flood the money.
Okay, hold on real quick. Let me get this done. It's a mixed thing. So Kevin made a motion for 4 lots. The only thing I asked is you're talking what percentage? The lower percentage of 5%?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Alright, so
it's
that's your
5%.
motion. Yep.
The 4 lots, and I'm not trying to be a bully. I'm just saying that was the low percentage. We go the 4 lots like they recommended, even though the lake committee isn't the final say. I'm just saying I also feel the same way because I don't want to flood the market, and then I like to keep people hungry. So that's my motion.
4 lots, 5%,
And
4
yeah,
agents.
4 agents at $250,000 a piece.
You guys also keep saying what's fair, and I just feel like that what is in the citizens' best interest. I keep hearing this is what we think is fair, but is what's fair? Like, I feel like you're trying to do what's fair to all of us, but I think all of us are saying that we each feel like our merits are you know, obviously all of us are proud of what we do, but I will say on behalf of myself, I would rather you not do what's fair. I would say do what makes the most sense
Well,
for
I will go for the citizens. Why not have 4 of the best realtors market instead of 1? To me, what's best is now we have the 4 best realtors in Bourbon County marketing our property.
And I think, in my opinion, this shows a bit of competition, if nothing else.
I mean, do you agree that you guys are the top realtors, and to have all of you marketing our property is the best for the citizens?
Well, I think we're all going to take this to our respective buyers no matter what. But I think and obviously, I think I can speak. I think everybody in this room works really hard for their clients. But I think that there's a different level of what you're going to spend on marketing if you have one lot. You're going to spend a lot more money because when you have the listing, you're getting that sale. Yes, you can make money on the buyer side. So I could market one lot and maybe I get a buyer and we get a bid on the other one. But when you have the listing, you're guaranteed when that sells, you're going to make that commission. So if I know I've got X number of lots, I'm going to budget my marketing accordingly and I'm going to spend more. And I'm not sure if you guys would take the same approach, but I would just say, I mean, I don't think, even if that means I don't get a listing. I mean, I do feel like my numbers speak for themselves, but we're not asking you to do what's fair. You didn't ask us that. You asked us to tell you what we thought was most profitable. And I think that's what all of us did. So.
All right, so there's a motion on the table. Is there a second yet? No second.
So the motion is to give all 4 realtors the opportunity to participate in the sale of this. If somebody chooses not to, then it just goes divided up, whoever participates. This has gone on forever. I heard what you said, Bailey, but we got to move on. I second that motion. Is there any legal thing here based on our bid that we can't do that, right?
No, you do it.
So if someone doesn't participate, are we selling 3 lots or 4?
That's your decision. It's not a legal decision.
What's 4? Let's leave it. I mean, need to see what happens.
Yeah.
Pete Allen.
I'd like to hear the motion.
The motion is to sell 4 lots, give each of the 4 realtors here the opportunity to take 1 lot to list and sell.
So
With a 5%.
With the 5%. Yeah.
I'll say yes.
Lindsay Watts.
Yes.
Randy Nichols.
Yes.
Kevin Allen.
Went to the bathroom.
Since he made the motion, I assume it's a yes. Did he make the motion?
Josh Jones.
Abstain. You got 3. So.
You got 3. It passed.
You got 3. And now we have the second half, the First Source building. You got all you realtors feel like you've spoken on that, and so do we have any discussion? Yeah. You abstained.
Because you weren't here.
You weren't here. Yeah.
Passed.
3-0.
You want me to go pee on this one too?
Why? It's just.
All right.
we
So
didn't
First
put that
Source
in the record.
building, number 3, approved broker for 4500 Campbell Drive. Discussion.
Lindsay, you gonna open? Somebody.
You got the floor.
Well, once again I got to abstain, but Kevin had the best analogy for me today. Kevin, what do you say about a splinter? You got to get off the fence. So we are
let me
friends
tell my
with
thing.
Yeah, we are friends with everyone here, and they all know it's business. So we just got to pick somebody and move on. And that's so. If anyone has a motion to recommend one, we've heard from each of them. One more time, each of them your marketed plan at all. If not, then we need to make a motion to accept one.
Were
You're
you
looking
going to
at
say
me?
something?
Well, for the same reason. I mean, I went through all this before, and in the packet, the people that have the most success with commercial real estate tend to be Front Door. And so, once again, I will move that we accept a bid from Front Door to sell the 4500 Campbell drive.
Oh, we can discuss it still?
Sure.
Yeah, my discussion was the pitch. Bailey, you may want to pitch on this one too, because you didn't pitch last time on this building. But to me, and everybody knows that I'm friends with all of you, hopefully even after this meeting. But we one of the things that was interesting was about Stacy's pitch was I believe it was 4.75%. Oh, that ain't on the commercial building?
Commercial is usually 7%.
Right here.
The thing that stuck out in my head was that you're with this Keller Williams. It's 6%. Your bid was 6%. And but you was going to use Keller Williams to go outside. Explain that again.
So the team that I've put together with Keller Williams are only commercial brokers. That's all they do. They don't sell residential. All they do is commercial. They are members of 2 different MLSs that are different from everybody in Fort Scott's MLS. So you're going to get coverage from just through MLS. You're going to get coverages from Springfield and Branson all the way up to St. Joe, a lot of Missouri. They also advertise nationally. I put in your bid packet a couple of the national associations that are sites that they advertise it on. So it's going to open up our marketing a lot more than what Fort Scott is. Just like those numbers I shared with you earlier, that's what you're getting when you're, if you want to sell that property at 61% of the market price, it's probably what you're going to get.
I knew you was going to have something to say to this. Go ahead. 62%.
You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but most commercial agents aren't necessarily looking on the MLS. So I, in my proposal, mentioned that we would list on LoopNet and some other sites that are specific to commercial real estate. I think the exposure you get on this property is not necessarily going to be from any of our local or regional MLSs. I think you're going to be getting the nationwide headhunters that are looking for a property like that contact you, and you're not even dealing directly with the company. They're not looking on any 1 or 2 specific MLSs. So I think the key for this one is to get it out on websites that specialize in commercial listings. It's going to go on the MLSs, but you might find your buyer on the MLS, but I think maximum exposure, you've got to get it on the sites that cater to commercial properties.
You want to start a realty company? What do you think?
This is exactly why I don't do real estate. Listen, I'm just going to throw this out there, and I'm not trying to, don't run over me or whatever if you see me crossing the street or whatever. But I honestly, in my opinion, I've worked in a lot of communities, and buildings like the First Source building, first of all, in my opinion, it wasn't marketed to the people it should have been marketed to. It wasn't on location 1. And so every time a company came to Kansas and was looking for a call center, your building was not, the state didn't even know it existed. So for months, your building didn't exist to the state. And so, in my opinion, I've never worked in a city that usually the cities that I've worked in have just owned the building and allowed the state to market it through location 1 and state projects for call centers and things like that. Let the economic developer do that. I understand you've had it for a long, long time, and I'm not. Every one of these realtors here could probably do a way better job than I can, because that's what they do for a living. But just my opinion.
Is that something you can work with a realtor that we pick also?
Yeah, you can list a broker on there on location 1. It asks if there's a broker, if there's a broker or not. That's fine. But I'm just saying, I don't think that it was marketed to the state of Kansas as well as it could have been, and possibly could have been filled. Now,
does that leave us to where, I'm just thinking outside the box also, and I don't know nothing about realty, but can we advertise it on this location 1 and do all the advertising as far as the city of Fort Scott, pay for all of that, and then
it's free.
Any realtor, if we advertise it and we spend $5,000 in advertisement, and then any realtor that comes at us gets their, if they bring us a buyer, then they get their
6%.
yeah, get their 6%. Could we do that? And that way we're not giving it to one entity.
Yeah, I mean, you can do whatever you want, but Location One is free. If you're a member, if you're an Evergy customer, which the city is an Evergy customer, Evergy owns Location One. KCP&L created Location One. So any customer of Evergy has access to Location One. The state has already paid for that too. And the state of Kansas has been using Location One for years. And so it's free. You don't pay anything to use Location One. There should be a link on your website that goes directly to Location One. It has your banner and everything. It looks like your website. It's not managed by you. You know, we put in all the information. If you so choose a broker, you can. I'm just saying you can put a broker on there, and then they would contact the broker. If there's no broker on there, they're going to contact the city or they're going to contact me. And usually it's the state that's contacting you saying, hey, CB Richard Ellis, CBRE, has a client that's looking for a call center. Dean Foote Consulting has a client that's looking for a call center. Now, Bailey mentioned LoopNet. They all use LoopNet too. I mean, they're using LoopNet as well. Oh, there's another one. What's the other one?
So if we went
CoStar.
that-
Yeah, they just bought
Rob-
out the one out of Blue Spring or whatever. So
Rob, if we
CoStar,
go that
LoopNet.
route, we get interest, who shows the property?
Myself, or it'd be me probably. I mean, it would be me if you choose that I do your economic development.
Yeah, and so that, and I like what you're doing. If it's me, like I said, I don't get a vote, but if it's me, I would, if you are offering your service in conjunction with the realtor, I would like that. My biggest fear is right now.
If you have a realtor, the realtor would show it, and then
that's what I'm thinking. And
Yeah.
without a realtor, more, and right now,
it falls on me.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that there's also options out there
and you're
for
willing
the city to market
and you're
it.
saying you're willing to help out with conjunction of a realtor.
Well, all I have to do is put information in a website. I mean,
I'm
pretty
verifying.
That's not hard. Yes, I will work with any realtor you choose, and that's with any property. I mean, they might have vacant lots that I call and say, hey, I got a guy that wants to put a manufacturing on that lot. I mean, I work with realtors all the time. It's just that there's options out there that the city can use for free that hasn't been done yet through the state of Kansas. And those options, just know that those are options that you can take for anything.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. I will say so many times, I think with this commission, this is what happens. We make a motion to go out, and all these realtors come in and put a bid in, and we come up with ideas. Well, we could do this, and all these people put their time in to do this.
No, I understand.
No, and I'm just saying, so the less, we struggle sometimes and change our minds, and I feel like we need to stick to picking a realtor and hopefully utilize your service as
You
well.
do whatever you. I'm just throwing
You know,
that
I
out there
already-
'cause, it was
I need-
the last part
yeah.
was very painful.
It was. I appreciate it.
For you too?
Yeah. Okay, so there was any other discussion?
I say the motion was.
Yeah. Was there any other discussion?
Is there a second on it?
No.
So,
I would second that to move this forward.
Kevin Allen,
No.
Pete Allen,
No.
Randy Nichols.
yes.
Lindsey Watts,
Yes.
Josh Jones.
Abstain. Is there another motion to go on the table?
I would make a motion based off of the information that we have in front of us, based off of the sales for this year, to go with, be represented by Lions Realty Group for 4500 Campbell Drive.
Any discussion on that? Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Kevin Allen,
And the only reason I want everybody to realize that the only reason I'm saying this is nothing personal or anything to either of you. I just like the strategy that with the Keller Williams getting out there, like Stacy had with the
Talking to your mic.
with the nationwide thing. So I'm going to say no.
Commercial.
Commercial, whatever.
Yeah, for the commercial properties.
Yeah, commercial.
Yeah.
Pete Allen,
So the motion is to go with Lyons Realty.
Yes.
Yes.
For the First Source building.
I'll say yes.
Lindsay Watts,
Yes.
Randy Nichols.
Have I voted twice already? Yes.
Josh Jones.
Abstain. All right.
Hey, again, thanks to all of you. I'm sorry this is a difficult experience, so, good.
Hopefully we have that information for you soon. Thank you guys for coming out and all the work that you put in for all your proposals.
All right, I move that the city commission recesses into executive session for the purpose of non-elected personnel. The personnel matters of non-elected personnel exception in KSA 75-4319B1. In the executive session, the 5 commissioners and the city manager,
City
city
Attorney.
attorney.
Don't you call me the city manager.
The open meeting will resume. I imagine we'll have a couple of them. So it's 13 minutes, 7:55, 13. Open and resume in 15 minutes in the city commission room.
Second.
Kevin Allen,
Yes.
Pete Allen,
Yes.
Randy Nichols.
Yes.
Lindsay Watts.
Yes.
Josh Jones.
Yes.
Kevin Allen,
Yes.
Pete Allen,
Abstain?
Randy Nichols,
Yes.
Lindsey Watts,
Oh.
Yes.
Going back into car keys, Jen.
Josh Jones.
Go ahead. You got it in front of you. How long, Randy? Kevin? What do you
I
think?
move the city commission recess
15
into
minutes.
executive session for the purpose of non-elected personnel pursuant to
10?
personnel matters of non-elected personnel. Exception in KSA 754319, the 5 commissioners, the city attorney. The open meeting will resume in 10 minutes.
Second.
Oh, sorry. Kevin Allen,
Yes.
Randy Nichols, Lindsey Watts,
Yes.
Josh Jones.
Yes.
City Commission come out of executive session. Kevin?
Yes, I second.
Randy Nichols?
Yes.
Lindsey Watts?
Yes.
Kevin Allen?
Yes.
Pete didn't.
No, he's still back there.
Josh Jones?
Yes. I move that the city commission recesses. I move that the city commission recesses in an executive session for the purpose of non-elected personnel pursuant to the personnel matters of non-elected personnel, exception in KSA 75-4319B1. The 20 in the executive meeting, the 5 commissioners, the city attorney, and the city finance. The open meeting will resume in 25 minutes.
Second.
Kevin Allen?
Yes.
Randy Nichols?
Yes.
Lindsey Watts?
Yes.
Josh Jones?
Yes. I move that we come out of executive session.
Randy Nichols. Kevin Allen.
Yes.
Lindsey Watts.
Yes.
Josh Jones.
Yes, I move that the city commission recesses into executive session for the purpose of non-elected personnel and pursuant to the personnel matters of non-elected personnel exception in KSA 75-4319B1. The executive session will have the 5 city commissioners, the city attorney, and Mark McCoy, if you would present us with your
Gracious with your presence.
15 minutes. 15 minutes.
Second.
Randy Nichols. Lindsey Watts.
Yes.
Josh Jones.
Yes.
15
I move the city commission come out of executive session.
Second.
I move the city. Oh, we gotta call the vote. Sorry, I apologize. You're good.
Kevin Allen.
Yes.
Pete Allen.
I'm sorry.
We're going
Pete
back
Allen.
in, Pete.
We're gonna go back in.
Oh, we're gonna go back in?
Yes.
Yes.
Randy Nichols.
Yes.
Lindsey Watts.
Yes.
Josh Jones.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
I move the city commission recess into executive session for the purpose of discussing non-elected personnel pursuant to the personnel matters of non-elected personnel exception in KSA 75-4319B1. The open meeting will resume in the city commission meeting room
10 minutes.
at 9:05. The meeting will my words. No. The meeting will have the five include yes, there's the word I'm looking for. The 5 city commissioners, Mark McCoy, the city attorney, and that will be it. And yes.
Randy Nichols.
Yes.
Josh Jones.
Somebody need to second it.
Sorry.
Second. Yes.
Josh Jones.
Yes.
Kevin Allen.
Yes.
Pete Allen. Lindsey Watts.
Yes.
I make a motion to come out of executive session. Maybe they want to go back. I make a motion to come out of executive session.
I need a second.
Second.
Pete Allen,
Come out of executive session.
Yes.
Kevin Allen,
Yes.
Randy Nichols, and Lindsay Watts.
All right, I make a motion to have Bob help me word this. Enter in contract negotiations with Mark McCoy as interim city manager. All right.
Second.
Kevin Allen,
Yes.
Pete Allen,
Yes.
Randy Nichols.
Yes.
Lindsay Watts,
Yes.
Josh Jones.
Yes. Motion to adjourn.
Second,
Is that what's next?
please.
Kevin Allen,
Yes.
Randy Nichols.
Yes.
Lindsay Watts,
Yes.